over the country. But unfortunately, of course, still in eastern Syria, the presence of terrorists and the SDF that the United States set up, they call themselves Syrian Democratic Forces. Now, what has happened there is that the oil, Syrian oil, is being taken by the United States. And just recently, more oil has been found, new oil well has been opened. And the SDF, basically American forces, who are financing Daesh to continue to cause chaos in Syria, just to give them an excuse to stay in Syria, because they say that they are fighting Daesh, they're fighting ISIS, and the reality that they are supporting it. But we're seeing this at a time when the Syrian people really need their natural resources and the derivatives from their natural resources, but it's being stolen by the Americans. And this is the bottom line, Mariam. It's control of the region, by the Western hegemonic forces. And in this region, they're represented by the Israeli regime, that there really isn't a distinction between Washington, between Paris, between London, and Tel Aviv, that they're all in it together. I mean, your thoughts on this?
Well, there's also not a distinction between Muslim and non-Muslim lands in so many ways. We know the colonialists have tried to take over land wherever they find resources, wherever they find, what they're looking, when they're looking for cheap labor, for slavery, and for slaves and resources. They indiscriminately, they invade people, whether the country, their leaders are communist or socialist or have no religion at all or Christian. It doesn't matter to them. The only difference, however, is that they have seen by experience that Islamic ideology seems to be the only one to be able to hold resistance for long and bring people together. Otherwise, why did they put Pinochet in South America? Why do they instill these dictators in other places if their problem is only Islam? They're not invading our countries because they're followers of Islam. They are trying to take over our land because it's rich land, because it has resources that they need. They're constantly talking about technology instead of resources. For instance, they're talking about these cars that work with sunlight, solar panels, and they're talking about this clean energy that they're always basically trying to promote, and they by using international organizations trying to basically force other countries, force resource-rich countries into just sticking to what they call in the West clean energy. But what they don't tell you is that even for that clean energy, which by the way does not amount to the same amount of energy, even for the clean energy, even for extracting that energy, even for the technology that the West seems to be so advanced in, and they sell the technology across the world, those technological devices, they need minerals that are not there in the West or there in African countries. Those solar panels that they need, everything that they need for that technology, the minerals they do not have. The oil, the gas, for the most part, they get these from our parts of the world, right? So on the one hand, they tell us not to use our basically our own resources. On the other hand, they try to plunder all these resources, and even with using it for their own technology and selling it at crazy prices to back to us a lot of times. However, what they're really looking after is those resources. But the problem they have with Islam, and by the way, they don't really have a problem with non-political Islam, which is really not true Islam. If you look at the Quran, there's so many verses calling on Muslims to be active in their society in different ways, calling on Muslims to arm themselves, to put fear in the hearts of their enemies, calling on Muslims to only have fear from God and not have fear from any other power, whatever, imperialist, colonialist, whatever, to be able to stand in the face of all of that. But at the same time, the youth doesn't have any problems with Saudi Arabia and with their version of Islam. They don't have a problem with the regime that